right, so here's my suggestion. Draw your unit circle on your quiz when you get it and just label your bullseye points, your up, down, left, right, and also block off the trig function because that helps you see what's inside and what's outside. What I've put the box around comes from this unit circle. So we're going to go around and get our values, and then all you'd have to do is add 3 to them. All right, some of this is automatic answers though, so let's go fill in what we can, which will actually be everything. What's the domain? Yeah, good. All reals. It's a wave that's like going to be the answer. Okay. Now you need the amplitude and vertical translation to get the range. So let's answer these. Amplitude is a little tricky for this one. It would be this coefficient, but there's nothing written there. So what is it? It is 1. You can't have an amplitude of nothing. That would not be a wave. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it would just be a flat line. So you can't have a 0 amplitude. And if you even want to put a 1 there to remind yourself, you can do that. All right, and what did you guys put for the vertical translation? 3, or you can write up 3. So when you go to do the range, and if you even want to just go ahead and dot that in, you don't have to, I'm just doing it so you can visualize. This is our center line at 3, and our amplitude is 1. So we're going to go 1 below that and 1 above that. So what is our range going to be stuck in between? 2 and 4, good. And make sure you put brackets because there will actually be points there. The period is 2 pi. Typically, you divide by the b value. That's whatever's in front of the x. Again, a little tricky because there's nothing written. What's in front of the x? Again, 1. So what that means is it didn't get stretched or shrunk horizontally, like it stayed the same, which is nice. And then phase shift is your left to right. Did we move left or right pi over 2? Right, pi over 2. So you can just say pi over 2, or you can say right pi over 2. All right, you can get the f of x values for this more easily than the x values. You could even do them first. In fact, I recommend that because this is tough and then it like throws people off. So just do this first. When we go around our unit circle, are we going to use x or are we going to use y? Good, yx, because it says cosine. All right, so what's our first x value? 1, and then that's what I boxed in. That's all 1, and then all you have to do is add 3. So 1 plus 3, 4. Just continue on your journey around the circle. Now we're at the top. What's the x value? 0, good. Plus 3 is 3. Now we're on the other side. Your x value is -1 plus 3 would be 2. And then my hope is once you get the ball rolling, you can kind of just keep it up, like because it's cyclic. What's the next one going to be? 3, good. And then back where you started, 4. We're kind of just having that conversation over here. I've always put it on there. You almost don't need that because it's going to be the exact same as the first one, but it's useful for showing that you ended up where you started and also so that these values will turn out nice. Do you remember what goes in the first box? Good, it's your phase shift. I'm going to write it on here just because this is the quiz review so that when I post this online, it's like written there. You don't have to write that if you don't want to. You have it in your notes. I'm the teacher, so I'm doing the problem in front of everyone and I'm posting it online. So I'm trying to write every little thing. Phase shift goes there. And then you add the period of the function because that's how long it's going to take to complete one full cycle. So you have to take pi over 2 and add 2 pi. Now that would be 2.5 pi. You can't write 2.5 pi. It doesn't work like that. We use fractions, okay? What is 2.5 in like a fraction form? What is it? Close. 5 pi over 2. So this will be 5 pi over 2. That's 2.5, 5 halves. And then you have to figure out what goes halfway in between. Here's my suggestion, because I know it's like fun with fractions, right? Ignore the pi and ignore the 2. This is 1 and this is 5. What's halfway between 1 and 5? Good, 3. So 3 pi over 2. And so what would go here? Yeah, it would be 2 halves, right? So just 1 whole pi. I get people that'll write 2 pi over 2. Perfect. 100% correct answer, right? And then here, like, as if you want to count, this is 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves. This would be 4 halves, which would be 2 pi. But if you write 4 halves, 100% completely correct, okay? So whenever you label your x-axis, we need to break it down by halves. please don't label every single one. It's going to be tiny and smushed together and take you forever. If you want this tick mark to be a half, just skip it and label the next one as 1 whole pi. If you do that, then I know the first one is a half. You don't have to write it. Then this one would be 2 pi and this one would be 3 pi, and that's good enough. I don't need more than that. Just like, let's say 3, label 3 tick marks, okay? And then you can go the opposite direction too if you want to. And then basically all you have to do is plot these on here. Pi over 2 is 4, so starting right there. And then pi is 3, that's on our center line. And then we're down to 2, and then back up to 3, and then back up to 4. I'm not grading your art skills, but make an attempt to get it to bend and be a nice smooth curve. Like I don't want a jack-o'-lantern mouth, like it shouldn't be like winky. And then I want you to continue it for 1 more cycle. That's just showing me that you can keep the pattern going. So just continue it for 1 more cycle. And this isn't going to look perfect because I hand drew this, but on your quiz, like I printed a grid for you. And if it's off by a little bit, you're going to notice it. Again, I just did this by hand, so it's not like super perfect. So if you want to block off just the function, the sign of whatever, that's the part that's going to come from the unit circle, and then you're going to multiply it by a -3. So domain everything will be all reals. It's a wave. It's going to go left and right forever. There you go. Sorry. You need the amplitude and vertical translation to get the range. So what do you guys put for the amplitude? Because this one is a little tricky. It is 3. You have to absolute value that -3 because an amplitude is a distance from the center line. A distance can't be negative. Vertical translation, do we have anything added or subtracted out here? No, so you could say 0 or you could say none. You could say NA, I don't care if you put something there, but show me that there isn't one. So our center line is at 0. If you want to dot that in, you can. And we're going to go 3 below that and 3 above that. So what would our range be if we go 3 below and 3 above? Good, -3 to 3. All right, the period is 2 pi over whatever's in front of the x. That's your b value. So that would be 4. That will reduce to pi over 2. So you took the graph and squished it inwards like this. So it got compressed horizontally. Imagine like a spring and you squished it inwards. And then phase shift, did we shift left or right? Like, do you see anything added or subtracted in that? No, so you could again say 0 or none. So that's where we're gonna start. And I would actually say 0 pi. You can just say 0 or because there isn't one, but we're gonna start at 0 pi. And then you're gonna add on the period. So 0 plus pi over 2 would be pi over 2. And here's where this becomes like you have to slice the fractions up. What would be halfway between 0 and a half? 1/4, right? Now you have to break down fourths. So what do fourths break down into? 1/8. So this would be an 1/8. And at that point, you can just count. This is 1/8. This is 2/8. We just reduced it. What's the next one going to be? Yeah, 3/8. And then this one's 4/8, but we had reduced it. If you want to write these, you can. I don't care if these aren't reduced, because at that point, if you get the fractions, I'm like so happy. All right. Now, when we go around our unit circle, are we going to use the x values or the y values? Good. How come y? This sign. All right. What is your first y value? 0 times -3. 0. Now we're at the top of the circle. It would be 1 times -3 would be -3. And again, my hope is once you get the ball rolling, you can just keep the pattern up. What's the next one going to be? 0 and then +3 and then back to 0. So when you go to label this, please don't label all of these. That's a nightmare. All you have to do is go to the 8th tick mark and call it pi. If that's 1 whole pi, I now know that all the ones in between are an 8. You don't have to label them. Please don't. It will be all squished together. It will be annoying. Just don't bother. Okay. And then you can plot these. So 0, 0, 1/8, -3, back to 0, +3, back to 0. So again, that's one cycle of the graph, and I just want you to continue it one more just to show me you can keep the pattern going.